boss demanded on his desk Monday morning, and all of a sudden, it's like my dog ate my homework. I don't know where it is. Those kind of days, or where the kids just aren't getting along, and as a mom or a dad, you have lost your temper. Your spouse and you aren't seeing eye to eye. Bad day. On day 3 of the 21-day fix launch, that was my bad day. I was excited, I was gonna nail those colored containers. I was gonna make them, I was gonna own them. I was gonna own those colored containers. And what happened? I was on my workout mat and the phone rang. My husband handed me the phone. It's cancer. Cancer had called. 2 days later, my oncologist called. It was stage 4 cancer. A day after that, bone marrow biopsy. That was a really bad day. I don't know that the sun started to shine until a couple of days after that, when I had decided to cut off all of my hair. My hair had been about halfway down my back, and I cut it all off because I was not letting cancer take it. And in fact, I had spent so much time on Google, my husband actually threatened to take the internet away. So as Beachbody coaches, we know we don't want our internet ever taken away. But I had spent a lot of time on Google, and I had read a lot. Things I couldn't unread, and things that are stuck in my mind. And so one day, after being diagnosed and sharing with only a few close friends and family, my husband and I made the trip over to my coach's house. We had just let them know, and if you know my upline coach, you know that she's a planner. If she has a problem, she sets a plan of attack to conquer it. I can tell you on that day that my coach didn't know how to solve this. She didn't know what to say to me. She didn't know how to deal with it, but she was just gonna be a friend. So after we had sat in her basement and cried and made this plan for how at least every month I was just gonna hit Success Club 5, because at least that meant I was doing the bare bones to grow my business and build it forward. I didn't have medical insurance anymore. I just lost it because I had extended my maternity leave. Maybe we can call that bad luck. I'm not really sure. But her husband said something very much on a whim, and that is something that was a turning point in how I looked at everything about cancer. Her husband told me, well, actually he asked me, he said, Katy, have you ever heard of Stuart Scott? And I said, yeah, from ESPN. I think he's a sportscaster. Cancer, right? He has cancer. Her husband said, yes, but did you know that in 2013 he won the Inspiration Award with Beachbody? And I said, no. And he said, go check it out. And so that night, instead of Googling all the awful things that cancer can do to your body and all the awful treatments that I was going to have to go through, I Googled Stuart Scott. I Googled the Beachbody Inspiration Award. And I saw a man that decided to sweat because he had cancer. Because sweating to Stuart Scott was his way of beating cancer. Because Stuart Scott would sweat before chemo. And do you know what program he did? P90X. Do you know what he did after chemo? When he would come home and a drip bag still at his side, giving him drugs, he would do Kempo. Do you remember that workout? Do you guys still do that one? And I thought to myself, well, I'm not an athlete, but I have an entire catalog of Beachbody programs in my basement. And you know what? I'm just gonna sweat. I don't care how sick I am. I'm just gonna do it, because if he can do it, I can do it. And maybe, if I just share it publicly, somebody might be inspired. One person might be inspired. So there I was, first day of chemo, and I sweat. I didn't do the 21-day fix because I'll be honest with you, I still struggle to do that workout for obvious reasons. And then I would come home from chemo, and even though I was in pain and I was sick, I would turn on one of the hardest workouts and I would sweat. And that was asylum relief. And I would sweat and I would share it. And on the days I was so sick, my team would sweat for me. And before we knew it, we were sweating for something bigger. We started to realize that every sweat mattered, that because we were sweating, because we simply had the ability to do it, when other people could not, we created almost a movement. We started thinking about how every sweat matters, every story matters, every one matters. And people started coming to us and asking us to sweat for people that they knew who couldn't. On August 18th of this year, I will officially be in 1 year of remission. But if you don't realize how impactful you are on one person, focus on the one. Beachbody provided me with the opportunity to sweat for something bigger, but it was me that had to share my story. I had to get outside my comfort zone, and I had to do that. And so I did, and my team did, and that is why today I am standing here in front of you, telling you, you matter. You matter a lot.
So I'm gonna pause for just a second. Yeah, let's give her a round of applause.